In the wake of the corona pandemic, poverty has also spread massively in Great Britain. Rising food prices are driving more and more people to the subsistence level. Inflation, rising rents, higher food and energy prices, all of this is a nuisance for many people. For more and more Britons, however, the price development of the past few months is now threatening their existence. I'm really struggling to make ends meet, says Heidi in line at the Blackboard in Colchester in East England. Many Britons are currently in the same situation as the 45-year-old. Inflation in the UK rose to a 30-year high of 5.4% in December. Real wages are falling, food and energy costs are rising. The food banks in the UK are now experiencing a real onslaught. Everything has become more expensive, says Heidi. She now has to spend around £80 a month on electricity. Last year it was between £40 and £50. Well, I spend less with all the studio here. The Colchester Food Bank, nestled between supermarkets in a commercial district, gave out a total of 165 tons of food last year, enough to feed around 17,000 people. The head of the board, Mike Beckett, estimates that the number could rise to 20,000 in need this year. In the very worst case, it could be up to 30,000 people, he says. And he says it's a nightmare. Nationally, the number of visitors to the food banks rose from 26,000 in 2009 to more than 2.5 million last year, according to the organization Trussell Trust, which administers the food banks. The journalist and activist Jack Monroe suspects that the sharp rise in the cost of many staple foods is behind the misery. The actual costs have risen far more than the official inflation rate, as she calculated in a well-regarded post on Twitter. 500 grams of the cheapest pasta at her local supermarket would have cost 29p a year ago. Today, the price is 70p, an increase of 141%. The price for the cheapest rice increased by 344% from 45p to £1. The system we use to measure the impact of inflation is fundamentally flawed, she says. It totally ignores reality and the real price hikes for people on minimum wage, dinner goers, and millions of others. Table boss Beckett shares this assessment. Measuring inflation doesn't really take into account that cheap food is going up by hundreds of percent, he says. The situation is further aggravated by the government's decision to reduce the social benefits raised during the corona crisis back to their original level now. Well, he says people tell us that they sat in the car for 20 minutes or an hour before they had the courage to come to us, says Beckett. Many didn't think they would ever need it, but they had no choice. When it's cold, people have to choose between eating and heating, he says. According to a report by the Joseph Rowntree Foundation welfare organization released in January, certain welfare regulations, such as the 5-week waiting period for first payments and the 2-child cap on child support, have directly contributed to greater food insecurity and contributed to increases in food bank take-up. Even more Britons could be in trouble soon, as the cost of living for British households is expected to rise again in April. In addition to tax increases, the main reason is a significant price increase in energy costs by a whopping 50%. I'm very sorry for a lot of people over there, because Brexit is doing its share in this. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.